Hi, I'm Mark Malin, and today we're fishing at the fantastic Alvechurch Fisheries on the Canal Lake, and I'm going to show you how you can catch monster weights on just the top kit. Let's head over to my box and I'll talk you through the rigs, the bait and how we do it. Okay, so the Canal Lake at Alvechurch Fisheries, what makes it so good? Well, it's almost an oblong donut where Mark did a fantastic job using a laser when he made this lake. So all the inside edges and the far shelves are perfectly flat. It slopes off down the middle to about 5 foot before it comes back up again, 2 foot over, 2 foot down your edge. So I think this is really important, why it makes the top kit fishing so good. So on a normal match here, I will start short to catch those eager, hungry fish, the fish that are feeding short. And then if you get an absolute red letter day, you can start here and end here and do a monstrous weight. But on a normal match, you might find yourself going out to catch a cross or catch shallow. But today we've really focused on how to do those big weights, fishing short on a top kit. Now I always fish 2 lines. I fish left and right, and on today's peg, we sat on peg 3. You've got a little bit more cover down to your left, and we fished it slightly out in the open water to the right. And what this allows me to do, I can feed both ever so slightly different. Like today, the bait's been predominantly maggots and micro pellets, but we fed maggots heavier on the one and micros and maggots on the other. And this is because there's a huge head of barbel here, and you give yourself both options. If the barbel want to feed, you can change. If the carp want to feed, you can change the other. Now we've caught a healthy bag of both today. So let me show you today's rig. Starting with a power kit, TKS power kit, essential part of your kit when you're catching these big weights. You want reliability. Moving to the elastic, TKS Hybrid 14 to 16, the yellow, probably my most favourite elastic in the range. Stretches really well, but powers up really well also. Mainline 019 power optimum. Again, you want reliability. Some of these hard fighting barbel here at Alvechurch like to swim through the reeds, so you want that reliability that it's not going to cut. 017 mainline, again, durability, reliability. You don't want to be getting snapped on these fish. Shotting pattern today, we've got a strung bulk of number 8s. I've had it about 8 inches away from the hook today, rather than sat right on my 4-inch hook length. And that's because I felt when the barbel have been in my peg, they have been watching the maggots fall through the water, and you get far more bites when you've got the maggot falling through the water rather than it bulk straight down. Strong size 16 hook, and float we've got a MAP MFF 3 4x14 with 2 number 8 back shot above it. And for me, back shot even on a top kit are just as essential as fishing at 16 meters in the wind. If you've got fish in your peg and you've got a tow or you've got a strong wind, you want that rig sat there really stable. So today's bait, we've been using maggots and micro pellets, and we have been fishing for a few hours now and we've been catching lots of fish. So I'm going to spin round and let's see if I can catch a few for you live. Right, let's try and catch some fish. So as I spoke about earlier, I've actually got a left and a right line. My right hand side's just off the bank and the left hand side's tight to the bank. Look, we've had a brilliant day, but it's becoming apparent now that we're getting a bit later on in the day, we're mid-afternoon, and those carp are really starting to feed. So I've been feeding predominantly maggots on this right hand line, maggots and micros on the left. Now I'm going to start on the maggots on the right hand side because I want to catch a barbel for the camera. Look, but obviously in a match scenario I'd probably be down this left hand side catching the carp, because these carp average between 3 and 5 pound, the barbel are probably 2 pounds. But I'm going to start on this right hand side, I'm going to throw some maggots in and then we're going to see if we can catch one. So same rig we spoke about earlier. I'm going to put 3 maggots in, and I always hook them with a thin end, and this is so you've got more of the hook point showing, because when you've got 3 maggots on a 16 hook, if you hook them the other way around, obviously you'd mask a lot of the hook. So flick the rig out so it lays in, because as you heard me speak about earlier, a lot of these barbel are actually taking it on the drop. Feed some maggots over the top and just missed a bite straight away. So flick it out, hold it tight, lower it down over the maggots that I've just flicked in. Some fish there now, just missed another bite. So this is a fantastic fishery. You can probably see from the photographs and the videos how beautiful it is. It is probably my most favourite fishery in the country. The only downfall is they don't have a lot of matches here, so whenever there's an open match on this canal lake, I always like to fish here. So as I spoke about earlier, even though I'm only fishing the top kit, I've got 2 number 8 back shot, and this is really helping me keep that float still, so I can really strike at just the proper bites. So for these barbel, I don't tend to lift and drop. I put the rig in, I'll leave it in for a minute or so for that slow fall. If I haven't got it, just missed a bite, so we'll pick it up. I will lay it out again. Although it's flat, I still like to lay it out, so because I'm fishing 2 inches over depth, I want everything to lie in a line rather than just lifting and dropping it down in a bulk. So because I haven't had a bite now for maybe a couple of minutes, I'm going to feed some more maggots over the top. Lift my rig out again and lower it in. Typical. Caught one first drop. Oh, say that, caught one first drop before the camera come on. So again, I fed the maggots and we got a response straight away. As you can see, 3 or 4 pulls on this MAP TKS 12 to 14. I feel like the fish is under control. I think this is one of those hard fighting barbels, so I'm going to give it a couple of more pulls. And it is, look at that, right on cue for the camera. These are amazing fish. A beautiful Alvechurch barbel. Now, a couple of years ago when we were fishing the matches here, we tried to avoid the barbel because of how hard they fought, and they were quite hollow. They were probably only weighed 12 ounces to a pound, and when people are catching carp around you, you couldn't compete. But a match about a month ago, I had 20 barbel in one net, and those barbel actually went 65 pound. So on a day when the carp are not feeding, or a mid-match spell when you're not catching, the barbel are definitely worth catching here. Right, I'm going to try and catch you another one. Again, lots of indications when I first put the rig in. They're probably coming off the bottom, to be honest with you. Flick the rig out, hold it against your back shot, and there you go, right on cue. Oh. You can actually see the scale on there, and it's actually a small barbel scale, so I'll foul up to that. I think there's quite a preconceived idea that barbel feed really hard on the bottom, but I can tell you from catching a lot of barbel here, they actually come off the bottom. I've actually caught them dobbing bread in the winter. I've pinged pellets, and I've caught barbel 6 inches deep over on the far bank. So I think that's why it's essential that, as you can see, I've got my bulk 8 inches away, because those barbel are off the bottom. Same again, probably feeding 30 maggots. See, as I'm trying not to introduce micros onto this line, because as soon as I've fed any amount of micros, the hungry carp will move in. And for this video, I'm keen to catch some barbel. So maggots have gone in. Again, foul up to another one. So in a match situation, obviously you've just fouled up 2 in a row, what would you do? Me personally, because I'm fishing off the bank, I would come onto this left hand line where I can pull my rig right against the bank to stop the foul hookers. But I know if I go down that left hand side now, I'm just going to catch a carp. Sorry, struck too hard then and tangled my rig. So again, flick the rig out, keep it all tight, float settles, hold it against my back shot. Right, so now we've definitely hooked one in the mouth. But after a couple of foul hooked fish, once we get this in, I'm going to go down this left hand side and see if a rig closer to the bank mitigates any foul hookers. As you can see, I'm going to put my neck on the line and I'm going to say this feels like a barbel. They fight so hard in here, and that's why it's really critical. You've got the elastic and the line and the hooks to be able to take this. It is another lovely barbel. So, pop Mr. Barbel in the net. I'm going to swap my rig over, exactly the same rig, just this other rig, actually me being a bit silly, it's about 1 inch shallower. But that can be the difference sometimes. And I've an orange top. So again, 3 live maggots. Hook through the small end. Now I've just been chucking small balls of micros and maggots down here. Now I know there's some carp down there because we've already caught a few, so during the match I've been feeding by hand just to get the fish there, but when you get quite a lot of carp in your peg, I come away from feeding by hand, because if you get too many in there, they start crawling up the bank, you start getting foul hookers, line bites. So what I tend to do is I'll feed with a cup, not a kinder pot, because if you kinder over your float, as you can see from the rig, it's almost 2 foot deep, and you'll encourage them fish to come up off the bottom. So when I do go in, I like to feed with a big pot, but put a kinder amount in so it goes to the bottom, settles on the bottom. I come in, get my rig, quickly go out there, lay it in, and that bait is already on the bottom fishing. And I think it makes you a little bit more strict, because if you feed with a kinder pot and you think you're lowering down with your bait, you're not always following the bait down. You're keen, you put your rig in, you get a line bite, you strike, and it's a foul hooked. So I fed with a pot a while ago. I'm going to go in and see if there's a fish there first before I feed again. If I don't get any indications, I'll come in, feed, and we'll go from there. So again, laying my rig out of the bank, slowly lowering it in. Already a sign of a fish, instantly got one on. Now that didn't take long. You can see quite easily how you'd do a monster weight if it was like this all match. So again, taking my time, confidence in the gear. It's actually a barbel. After all of that, me saying there's going to be a carp there waiting for me, is actually another Alvechurch barbel. Which these are beautiful fish. Yeah. Lovely barbel. Now I'm just going to put that rig down, and like I spoke about, I'm just going to put a kinder's worth of micros in the pot and a few maggots, and I'm going to go down my left hand side and I'm going to pinpoint feed that. because there's quite a lot of fish around. My theory, and I like to do this when I'm big carp fishing, change the maggots, is while I'm doing this, that bait's falling through the water column and it's going to be on the bottom in the 20 seconds it takes me to put my maggots on, rather than the chance of foul looking a fish. Then I swing round, lower my rig right on top of where I've put the bait, and get a bite instantly. And that's why I like to feed it like the way I did, because when you get quite a lot of fish in your peg, that could have quite easily been a foul looked fish. Feels more of a carp this time. The carp are quite big in here. They really have grown the last few years, and one of the winter matches here at the end of February, I actually had a lovely day dobbing bread opposite, and I had 46 carp for £220. So, I mean, you work that average out there, they're over £5 each, and you see from some of the photos today, we've had carp from £1 up to probably £8 or £9. Again, there's no need to rush. We got loads of confidence in the gear. It really doesn't take long to build a massive weight up with these bigger carp in between the barbel. Fish are really fit and healthy. Lovely carp. Poor netting from me, I can only apologise. And he's in the net. Lovely carp, £5 or £6. Just unhook him and then we'll show everyone on the camera. So fit and healthy, the fish here. We've juggled with a few today. Another beautiful Alvechurch carp. Pop him in the net. Right, and we'll catch you one more. So again, Kinder Pot's worth of micros. Semi-squeeze them so they're going down a nice ball. Good couple of pinches of maggots. Pick my spot. Cup the bait right on the spot. Come in. 3 fresh maggots in, and you'll notice those last 2 fish, no foul hookers, straight in bite. Totally different to when we were on this right hand side and we were feeding off the bank. So our bait's now gone to the bottom. We flick the rig in, keep everything tight. Floats on top of our mark. Again, back shot on this rig, keep everything nice and still. So again, hooked another one down the edge. This one's a little bit more angry. Again, really so much confidence on this setup. I mean, I know the carp are not huge, but I was at Cobhouse Fishery 2 weeks ago now, and I had £220 on this exact setup. I mean, I had 3 fish in the one net for £53. So I know the carp are not huge, but it's how hard they fight. It's exactly the same setup I'd fish for carp viaduct anywhere like that, any big carp venue. Larford. So so again, it's like the previous carp in the stick-ups, and I think that's really important while you fish a heavy main line. Even my shallow rigs, some of my shallow rigs out here, I fish 019, 021 main line, and that's not for the strength, it's for the durability when the fish are pulling you through the reeds. Fight so hard. I think I touched on this earlier, that if you can, the canal lake here at Elvechurch, it's actually got a filtration system in between every peg. We'll try and get a photo and stick it where there's actually aerators in between each peg in the middle of the lake, and I think that's why the barb will thrive here, and that's why everything's so fit and healthy. I'd go up to well over a pound. Is the roach are huge in here, the carp are huge, and I really do think it's down to the aerators in here that make the fish so fit and healthy. See, we probably now had well over 12 pounds in 2 fish, if it doesn't take long to do a weight of these. And I think with this beautiful Elvechurch common, we'll call it a day on that, and I hope some of those tips and the videos will help catch a few of these from your local fishery.